Hi, Keith here from Academy of Bass. Today I'm looking at some different ways of playing over chords. Now, everything that we play on the bass is played over chords, and for me in my practice, I'm always looking for that elusive way of playing over chords in different ways, or how to take something that I already know and use it differently. But specifically in this lesson, I'm going to be looking at how you can use inversions of chord arpeggios in your bass playing. Now, before I do get into this, there's a completely free PDF of this lesson. I'll post a link to it below. Make sure you grab a copy because it's got everything that I'm going to be playing fully notated in both standard notation and tab, and I've also included all of the backing tracks that I'll be using in this lesson as part of that download too. Now, on the subject of this lesson, if you do enjoy it, please feel free to give it a like and also support the channel by subscribing. I'm going to be playing over a G7 chord, a G dominant 7 chord, and the first thing that we need to learn is the arpeggio, or the structure of the chord. So it's a major chord starting from G. G's the root note, and I'm playing that at the 3rd fret of the E string. Then we've got B the 3rd, I'm playing that at the 2nd fret of the A string. Then it's D the 5th at the 5th fret of the A string. Then finally we've got F. F is the 7th, the flattened 7th, and I'm playing that at the 3rd fret of the D string. Now, a 7 chord is a really flexible chord. In fact, it's one of my favourite chords because you can play so many different things over it depending on what kind of sound that you're trying to achieve. So I'm going to start off by setting up a little bit of a groove. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Now all I'm doing there is picking out different notes from the chord arpeggio to spell the chord, but I'm playing them in a slightly different way. So I'm playing G, the root note, then I'm playing this note E. Now E's not in the chord, but it's right next door to F, the flattened 7th, and sounds really nice going into it. Then I'm going to play D, the 5th, then I'm going to jump up and play B, the 3rd, an octave higher here at the 4th fret of the G string. I could play that B in the original place, but I prefer up an octave. Now the other thing about this is it sounds a little bit funky, and that's because I'm using a syncopated rhythm and leaving plenty of space. 2, 3, 4. Now one thing that I like to do when I'm trying to find or introduce new ideas into my playing is play a little bit of a line and then play an answering phrase. So I'm going to be playing over a 2-bar groove. In the first bar I'm going to play this line, and in the second bar I'm going to play an answering line or an answering phrase using the first inversion of this G7 chord arpeggio. But what is an inversion? Well, we've played the root position of the arpeggio because we've started from the root note. The first inversion is exactly the same thing, but it starts from the next note in the chord, which is B the 3rd. So we get B the 3rd, D the 5th, F the 7th, and G the root. And I'm going to be playing this in different places across the fingerboard. So as we get into the lesson, hopefully you're going to see and hear just how easy it can be to create some interesting ideas across the whole breadth of the fingerboard. Now, I've chosen the first inversion because it's just one step away from the root note, and it can be a really nice place to start if you want to try and introduce new harmonic ideas into your playing. So I'm going to play this for you now. I started off there with the main groove. Then I played an answering line. So I started off with G, the root note at the 5th fret of the D string, played that twice, but I played those notes muted. Then I played B the 3rd, hammered on to D the 5th, then I played F the flattened 7th, came back down to D, then I jumped up to the G again, pulled off to F and back down to the D. So essentially I'm playing up the arpeggio and down. Now if that's a little bit too hard for you, it doesn't matter, you can play a simpler version. So all I'm doing there is playing up and down the arpeggio. B the 3rd, D the 5th, F the flat and the 7th, G, and I'm playing down from G, F and D. Now you could also play this same line up an octave, so using this same pattern from the 9th fret of the D string. So we got B, D at the 12th fret, F at the 10th fret of the G string, and then G at the 12th fret. Both sound really good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to another position. So from this G root note, I'm going to move up to B the 3rd at the 7th fret of the E string. I'm playing that with my 3rd finger. Then I'm playing D the 5th at the 5th fret of the A string with my 1st finger. F the flat and 7th at the 8th fret of the A string with my little finger. And then G the root note at the 5th fret of the D string with my 1st finger. So we've got a different pattern, and I'd encourage you to look at playing things in as many different ways as possible across the fingerboard, because that way you're going to put your hands in different positions and that will lead you into playing different things. So I'm going to play a second line now using this pattern. So this time, even though I'm essentially playing up and down the arpeggio in the same way, we've got a very different line. So again, I started off with the same riff, but the answering phrase was this. So I played B, D, F, played the G twice, then I played E at the 7th fret of the A string before playing F. So I'm bringing out this E again that I used in this line. Now the E is the 6th or the 13th of the chord. It's a great sound. So in some respects, you could say that we've turned this G7 into a G13. It sounds very expensive, doesn't it? From there I played B, D, E, pulled off D, back to B. And the second time I played a variation on that. And I played B, D, E, D, B, A, G. And that's just playing down a G major pentatonic scale. Now, again, if that's a little bit too tough, you can play a simpler version. It's still going to sound great. Now, all of these examples, both the simple ones and the slightly more syncopated versions, are in the PDF, so make sure you grab a copy of that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this same pattern but play it up an octave, starting from B here at the 9th fret of the D string. Then I'm going to play D here at the 7th fret of the G string and F here at the 10th fret. Now, I've run out of notes unless I play G here, but I'm going to do my best to keep my hand in this position and see what comes out for this third variation now. So this time the answering line was a little bit different again. This time I'm playing B to D, back to B, to F, and then pulling off from F onto D and B. So again, I'm basically playing up and down the arpeggio, but from there I played this. So this time I'm playing A. Now A is the 2nd or the 9th of G. It's a great sound, but from there I played A, B flat and B. So we've got A the 2nd, B flat the flat and 3rd, and B the 3rd. And that's a really funky sound. You hear it everywhere. Now, I think I also slid into that B. Just for a bit of variation. What I'm going to do now is take this same shape, this first inversion shape, and I'm going to move it up to here. So this time I'm playing B at the 14th fret of the A string, D at the 12th fret of the D string, F at the 15th fret, and then G at the 12th fret of the G string. So we've got the same shape, but because of where I am, I think I'm going to play something completely different. So that was different again. So this time I played B, D, F, G, G, F, G, and then hammered onto A, which is the 9th or the 2nd at the 14th fret of the G string. And from there, I played this G at the 12th fret, pulled off onto F sharp, the major 7 at the 11th fret, pulled off onto F, the flattened 7th at the 10th fret. And this movement from root or octave to major 7 to flattened 7th is classic. It sounds great. Now the only difference to that is that sometimes I slid into the first note. Just to give a different flavour. So to finish off now, I'm going to go back to the very first pattern I played from B here at the 2nd fret of the A string. And I'm going to move it here to B starting from the 7th fret of the E string. So we've got B here at the 7th fret, D at the 10th fret, then we've got F the flattened 7th at the 8th fret of the A string, and then G the root at the 10th fret. And I always like to extend the range of whatever I'm playing so that I've got access to the maximum number of notes in any one position. And I'd encourage you to do exactly the same. So what I'm going to do now is extend this arpeggio, B, D, F, G. From here we've got B the 3rd at the 9th fret of the D string. I'm playing that with my 3rd finger. Then we've got D the 5th at the 7th fret of the G string, and then F the flattened 7th at the 10th fret. Now if this is new to you, do not worry because it's in the PDF, so make sure you grab a copy. And if you're playing this for the first time, it takes time to get new patterns and shapes under your fingers and also in your head, so take it easy and play it steady. Now every line that I've played so far, I've kept my hands in position and I've by and large used the fingering that I've used in the arpeggios. This time this might be a little bit tough, so I have a feeling I'm going to play a slightly different line here. So this is without doubt the most different line that I've played so far in this lesson. So I'm going to look at what I played really slowly. So this is the only line that I haven't played up and down the arpeggio from start to finish. This time I'm starting from F the flattened 7th at the 8th fret of the A string. I'm playing that with my 2nd finger because that's the finger I used when I played this extended arpeggio. From there I played this. So I played from F to A, which is the 9th of the chord, at the 7th fret of the D string, then back to F. From here I played B, which is the 3rd of the chord, at the 9th fret of the D string. And from there hammered on to C at the 10th fret of the D string. Now C is the 4th or the 11th, and that's a really interesting sound. So far I haven't played a root note. From this C, going back to F the flattened 7th, then I'm going to jump to D the 5th at the 7th fret of the G string. And And from there, I'm going to slide from F into G, the root note at the 10th fret of the A string, and then up to E, which is the 13th, up at the 9th fret of the G string. So far I've played every single note in the chord and all of the upper extensions. We played A, the 9th, C, the 11th, and E, the 13th. From the C, back down to G, the root at the 10th fret of the A string, and then finally D, the 5th, at the 12th fret of the D string. So this is a really good example of how you can use the inversions to create very different lines. So for me, chord arpeggios are one of the key ingredients of every single bass player's playing, because they allow us to outline the chords that we're playing over. And that's one of the primary roles of every single bass player, regardless of the musical situation that we're playing in. But it can be really easy to get hung up on how to practice them and how to use them. So go at them steadily and diligently. That way they'll find the way under your fingers and also into your head. And once you understand them and you can play them fluently, they'll have a huge impact on your playing. I really do hope that you've enjoyed this lesson. If you have, give me a shout out and let me know in the comments. Make sure you grab the PDF too. The link to that is posted below. Feel free to like the video and also support what I'm doing here by subscribing to the channel. Thanks for joining me. Look forward to seeing you again. And in the meantime, happy practicing.